Welcome to day 7 of Healing the Abused Inner Child 11 Days program. In today's video, we're going to talk about the art of letting go, and we're also going to talk about our coping mechanisms. When healing the inner child, we need to look at our coping mechanisms and how we people please others in order to be liked and chosen. I want this video to be a video that you can rewatch every time you want to check in with yourself and the journey of healing your inner child. So let's begin by looking at our coping mechanisms. Coping mechanisms can be described as our effort to prevent or diminish threat, harm, and loss, or to reduce the distress that is often associated with those experiences. These stressors are usually external situations or circumstances that trigger internal distress. But often what lies beneath our coping mechanisms is unhealed emotions, is often our inner wounded child that is in pain and that needs to be felt and needs to be nurtured, because we only cope, we only try to please others because we lack self-worth. We don't feel like we are good enough. We don't feel like we are worthy. We don't feel like we are loved and that we are lovable. We need to control how other people view us. And therefore, we will do things in order to make sure that the other person likes us and chooses us. So this is especially something that I think that many adoptees can relate to, although this whole program is for everyone. It's not only for adoptees. But I want to explain something that's regarding adoptees, because when we are adopted, we will live the rest of our life experiencing to be adopted over and over again. Every time we meet a new person, every time we are in a new situation, we will either be chosen or rejected. That's how life is, right? When you go to the supermarket and maybe you smile to the first stranger you see in the supermarket, if they don't smile back to you, you would naturally feel rejected, right? But if they smile back to you, you will feel like you're chosen, because they're mirroring what you sent out to them, and you experience that they receive what you sent out to them. If we experienced in our childhood with our biological parents or with our adoptive parents we grew up with, that our parents didn't give us what we needed, and they actually made us feel ashamed for just having needs, then we will struggle so much when we grow up and become adults with expressing our needs. And we will be so afraid that we won't be chosen, we won't be accepted for who we are, and we won't be liked if we show other people our authenticity. So no matter if you're adopted or not, this stems from not being seen, heard, and validated, and not feeling loved and not feeling good enough. So that shows up as an adult with coping in stressful situations that trigger an internal stress in us. So we try to cope with it until we find out how to actually get past it. We therefore choose to do something that's actually inauthentic to us, because pleasing other people is inauthentic. It's simply inauthentic to please other people, because what we actually want to do is please ourselves. And the moment we begin pleasing ourselves and actually give ourselves what we need and what we never received, the byproduct of that will be that we won't be so attached to how other people perceive us. and whether people choose us or reject us when we talk with them or meet them for the first time, because we know in our core that we are enough for who we are, and that we should never change ourselves. We should never convince other people that we are worthy of love and that we are good enough for who we are. We should never convince people of that, of liking us. So that's what coping mechanisms really do to us. They are actually draining us from energy because we're doing something that's inauthentic to us, and we're spending a lot of extra amount of energy on literally coping and trying to do something in order to receive external validation from other people. And this leads to the next thing that I want to talk about in this video, which is letting go of the past. Because letting go of the past is actually a byproduct of healing, and that is directly linked to our coping mechanisms and our people pleasing. The moment we begin to heal, so much unconscious behavior will begin to dissolve, and that is coping mechanisms and people pleasing. The moment we begin to heal, we will naturally begin to let go of the past, and therefore we will also begin to let go of the need to control how other people view us and whether they choose us or reject us, because we know to our core that we are good enough for who we are. The reason we might not have let go of the past yet is because we still have aspects to heal. We still have unfelt emotions from the past that we need to heal, and we need to allow the energy to transform. And the only way we can do that is by bringing our awareness to these unfelt emotions. But oftentimes they are hidden in our subconscious mind. And how do we access the subconscious mind? By beginning asking questions, and by begin journaling, and by begin asking questions about your feelings and your behavior, because you have probably been in a situation, let's say that you were to an event with people that you knew, and there were also people that you didn't know, and then you said something and you instantly felt like your feet were like contracting because you were afraid how the other people perceived what you said, right? If you seemed stupid to them, or if you seemed selfish or egocentric to them, right? Or if you were afraid that you hurt the other person's feelings. This can be still unaware aspects of you that is like operating below your consciousness, but they are coming up and they are being played out without you are really aware of it. And that's why we need to become aware of it, because that's the only way we can change it. We can't change what we are not aware of, right? That's simply impossible. It's like to say to a blind man, why can't you see? It's right in front of you. Why can't you see it? Well, because I'm blind. That's why I can't see it. The moment we allow ourselves to feel an emotion, it transforms and flows freely in us. But when we haven't felt an emotion and we refuse to feel it and keep rejecting feeling it, it will create a loop of circulating energy that becomes stagnant, which for us can feel like that we are stuck. So I want you to understand something about emotions here, which is that emotions are basically energy. It's just energy that we have give a meaning to, and we can only change the vibration of them by allowing them to be felt. And then the energy in the emotional loop will begin to transform, and it will not feel so stagnant anymore in us. In order to let go, we therefore must take a deeper look at our stagnant emotions that we continue to push away in order to avoid feeling them. We must begin loving how we feel right now instead. That's the way we can transform it. So if we feel stuck, then we must love our stuckness and literally love that we feel stuck right now. It might sound crazy to you, but that's actually how we are processing these unfelt emotions, because that was the missing part when we first experienced not feeling safe enough to feel these emotions. So now we need to give that to ourselves. We need to begin loving these emotions. I think you will be quite surprised how quickly these emotions will transform the moment you begin feeling them. And the moment you begin loving that these are the emotions that you have right now, that you feel stuck, that you feel unlovable, that you feel like you're not good enough. When you begin to love them, they will transform. They will transform into more alignment within yourself. But I'm very aware that it can be so intimidating to begin feeling these emotions. I know that. And I really want to acknowledge that about this process. To do this Healing the Abused Inner Child 11 Days program is not for the weak ones. It really aren't. And therefore, if you are feeling while watching this video that you feel simply too scared right now, you feel too anxious, and you feel too overwhelmed by just the thought of beginning to allow yourself to feel how it feels like not to feel loved, or not to feel lovable, or to feel stuck. If that is simply too overwhelming for you right now, pause right there and then take a piece of paper, write it down what it is that you fear about feeling these difficult emotions. Write what it is that you're afraid that will happen if you do it. It can be that you are afraid that you won't know how to handle it, and that you're afraid that it will take over your whole body, and that it will never transform just because I say it. Why should you believe it, right? If you haven't been there yet, if you haven't experienced it yet, that they actually will transform, then you can only do it by having faith in yourself, because this is the part that's difficult. I can only guide you. If you sit down and take a piece of paper and write down why you are afraid to actually do this part, then I want you to give yourself permission to feel that's difficult, right? Then we need to take a step back and feel those emotions before we can feel the next emotions. So sit with that. Feel that, how difficult it is. Your logical mind will probably convince you that it will not liberate you on the other side, that the emotions won't transform on the other side. So your mind and your previous experiences will try to convince you right now that this is dangerous. You should not go there with me. You should not go there at all. You should stay right where you are, feeling stuck, feeling like you can't get out of this situation, and that things will never change, right? But then, instead, I want you to, after you have written down why this is difficult, right? And then I want you to take another piece of paper and I want you to write down where you are imagining how liberating you want to feel on the other side, how free you want to feel on the other side, how joyful you want to feel on the other side, how peaceful you want to feel on the other side, and how lovable you want to feel on the other side. I want you to do that on another piece of paper. And then I want you to ask yourself a difficult question, which is, which of the two papers do you want to stick with? Do you want to stick with the stuckness on the first paper? Or do you want to take the chance and go with the other paper where the liberation and the freedom and the peacefulness are? And take your time with this. You are in no rush. You can re-watch this video as many times as you need before moving on to the next videos, because this process is about you and only you, and no one can tell you how fast you should be moving through this. You are the only one who knows. And the most important thing is that you are checking in with yourself every time you watch a video. And if you don't feel ready to go to the next video, then stay here or go back to some of the previous videos. That's really, really important that you take yourself seriously in this situation. So the exercise for this video regarding our people-pleasing and coping mechanisms is that I want you to point out where you still seek unhealthy validation from others. And you can do it by writing down all the people in your life that mean something to you. Ask yourself, has there been an episode recently where you could feel that you were inauthentic with them and that you said something to them that was actually more about you being afraid of their reaction and that they might reject you? So I want you to write all these names down on a piece of paper and then go through each and one of them. When you find an episode where you can see, okay, I was actually people pleasing in this situation, write it down what you did, and then write down why you did it. Why did you feel like you had to do it? Because then you will access a deeper understanding and a deeper awareness of why you do the way you do unconsciously. And I also want to mention that when I say unhealthy validation, I mean that we all need to feel seen, heard, and validated. It's a core need we have because it's our human nature in order to live in harmony with ourselves and the world. But unhealthy validation is when you do something only because you want the other person to like you. So it's not about pleasing them, but rather about pleasing you. I hope this video was inspiring to your process, and I hope you're doing well on day 7. On day 8, we're going to dive into reparenting yourself. So we are going deeper and deeper and deeper within. So again, as I said earlier, take your time with this. Take some breaks from this and do it in your own time. Until tomorrow, I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.